Smoking is only permitted in the specified smoking areas. Thank you. Sayın yolcular, lütfen terminallerdeki sigara içme yasağına uyunuz. Sadece işaretlerle gösterilen bölümlerde sigara içilebilir. Teşekkürler.
I love that introduction. Welcome to Grumpy Gaming. This is the start of my channel, and this is also my first Let's Play. And we're going to do this with Airport CEO. Now, Airport CEO is in alpha, very pre-release, does have bugs, I've experienced some of them already, and doesn't have the full functionality that the game will have at the end. But having said that, it's a fun game, it's a good game, with some challenges and also lots of enjoyment along the way. So let's start off. Let's go new airport and get right in. Ooh, face. Yeah, got a face. Hairstyle, yeah. Brush to the left. Hair colour, old man, white. Skin colour, you know what? I'm okay with that. That's skin colour. I could do that. Eyes, blue. Got a nose, got a mouth, got a suit. Do I want it? Well, I'm old enough to wear a tie. And red with blue pinstripes, white shirt, way to go. So here we go. My name is Grumpy, but you can call me Mr. Gamer. And we're in. Now, this screen is the one that gives me the most grief in the game. No matter how I try to move it into Europe or England or anywhere else, it hangs. So we're not even going to attempt that on this game. We're just going to go and pick somewhere in Africa. You know what? Not Africa. I'm going to go Spain, mainly because it gets me closer to Europe and I can do some short distance flights. Technically, I don't know if it makes any difference in the game. I don't know if the costs or the revenue varies depending on whether you're in Europe or Africa, or how it affects international flights. But at this stage, we're just going to go, do we like the Spanish or do we like the Portuguese? You know what, I think I'm going to go Portuguese on this one.
Your attention,
and go Lisboa.
Please do not smoke in the terminal
So we're going to
building.
confirm the airport
Smoking is only permitted
Lisbon
in the
in
specified
Portugal,
smoking areas.
and we're going to
Sayın
go
yolcular, lütfen terminallerdeki sigara içme yasağına uyunuz.
Grumpy's.
Sadece işaretlerle gösterilen
Grumpy's?
bölümlerde sigara içilebilir. Teşekkürler.
Grumpy's. Grumpy's Hub. There you go, Grumpy's Hub. GRU. GRU. I don't know about Sandbox, but we'll go with difficult mode. We'll go with wow, very unimpressive. We'll go with that one. And let's get started. Loading. Still loading. Aha, dear Grumpy. Basically, this is just letting us know that, hey, we're here and we're going to build a new airport. Gives us some information. Press tab to open and close the management panel. Use the manual panels for guided instructions, and good luck to you. That's us. We got it. Okay. So basically, this is what comes up when you press the F1 key. So we press F1 again, goes away, comes back. These are some basic key usages: zone toggling and speed. Speaking of speed, actually, let's pause this for a minute while we just have a look at what we've got here. So in terms of gameplay, whoa, too speedy. Let's go keys. Yep, that's better. This green section here is where we can build. This section and this section, well, all the dark green area is locked basically, and this is not accessible down here. So I don't know how big they plan the map to be, but it obviously looks like it can be quite large. So this is our build area. This is the access road into the site, and these areas down here have two things in them. This one is where building materials are dropped off for the actual construction work that takes place on the site. So trucks come up here, drop materials here, go out the same road. This area here is where the contractors who do the building get dropped off. So they are dropped off here by bus. They pick up the goods there and they go anywhere on the map they need to go to build whatever it is we've told them to build. So before we actually get started, let's have a quick run through of what we've got. On the right hand side we have our access, what I call the access panel, the dashboard, which has most of these icons down here. So we'll go through the icons. We have an email box, so we have inbox, save messages and trash, just like in the real world. We have contractors. Now also under contractors we have budgets, loans. You gotta love the banks, right? The contracts that we can take out. Now contracts are basically for services that our company, our airport company, will use. So we will use initially a construction company to build things for us, and then later on we'll have a fuel company that will provide fuel that we can on-sell to the aircraft that use our airport, and then we have procurement. These are the things that we can buy to do later on in the game. So we'll get back to those and have a look at those later, but that's under contracts. Then we have the budget, which was also under contracts. We have the loan, which was also under contracts. We have employees. Now employees are where we get the staff to do the various things that we need to do in our airport. Those staff can have shifts, and that defines how long they work and where the sort of work they do. Above them and running our company, of course, we have the board, of which Grumpy Gamer is the CEO. And these positions, which are available on the board, are filled out during the game or as the game progresses, and they add functionality to the airport and what the airport can do. And we will be hiring some of those later on in the game. Then we have vehicles. Now at the moment we have no vehicles, but there will be vehicles that will provide services at the airport. There will be fuel trucks, there will be trucks carrying baggage, and there will be, I believe, service trucks. Okay, so that's staff. Part of staff shifts, which we already went through, then the board, which we went through. Vehicles, which we also saw, which was under staff. Operations. Operations are what the airport does. So, at the moment our airport is closed and we don't have any security because basically we don't need any. We can have tarmac lights, and by default they're on and off. So this is the 24-hour or military time frame. So you've got 1900, which is 7 p.m, and we've got 0700 hours, which is 7 a.m. in the morning. This is for general aviation flights. If we click general aviation flights, they're allowed to land at any time they like in our airport. And then these are the functions down here, which we'll get to later on. They are services that are provided by our company at the airport that we run. We also have in here job tasks, incidents and construction. And this refers specifically to contractors, how many we deploy and how many we dismiss. And then under that, job tasks, which we already had a look at, construction, which we already saw, and very importantly for us, the tutorial. Now the tutorial is very important because it basically gives you the sequence in which you need to progress the game. You start with the small airfield, you move to a regional airfield, you move to an international airport. So when you have an airfield and you want to start the game, you press new, and there you have it. It gives you here the basic sequence in which you start doing things. We already have an operational delivery site, which is either that one or that one. I think it's that one. And then these are the other things we need to do to get the game going. Sign a contract with a contractor, deploy contractors, and wait for the contractors to arrive. Now, during the game, you can follow these, and they give you the basic guidelines that you need to do to get whatever level of airfield, airport you're running going. But there are also additional things that you can do to make things better, improve certain areas over other areas, and just get on with it and make it a better game for yourself. That's basically that menu on the left hand side, and if you click the map, that goes away. Bottom left, we have these buttons, which are basically build and construct buttons. The ones that are to start off with are basically what the airport is about, is this section here. It's runways, it's taxiways, it's parking stands or aircraft stands, it's bus stops for people coming in and out, it's drop-off points, it's roads, that's that section. Then in this one, we have foundations and other things that you need to actually build the buildings in the airport, the areas surrounding the airport, and the functionality. Then down here we have items which go inside the buildings that you make, and these become important as the airport grows. They also, when you add them, create maintenance tasks. So the more of these things you put in, the more services you literally have to provide to keep the airport running, because these things break. And the annoying one for me is when the bathrooms break, because that's very unpleasant. So that's that. Then we define areas within the building. So for example, you need to define what's a bathroom, you need to define where staff go, you need to define areas that are restricted to staff only, not passengers, but just staff, and you need to define areas that are secure. So for example, in a secure area, your passengers and your staff have been through security checks. So that differentiates, the public, if you like, from the passengers and the staff when they're in the terminal doing their jobs or heading off on their holidays or their business trips. And then of course the all important let's bulldoze something, which is very useful. And we have some toggles here so that you can toggle things on and off and see better. And again, normally right clicking on the main build area will get rid of whatever menu item you've selected. So we need to get on with this, and we need to basically build an airport. So let's go down here. We'll start off. We're going to go, just go back to tutorial for a second. We're going to go with the small airfield. We're going to sign up a contractor, we're going to deploy some contractors, and we're going to wait for the contractors to arrive. But before we do that, let's lay down what we want our airport to be. So let's go build some infrastructure. We need a small runway to start off with. So there's a small runway, and the way I envisage this running is I'm going to keep the main access road and build the airport buildings around that access road. I think I'm going to have 3 runways. Now, the 3 runways I'm going to have, I basically want to set them up, one for small aircraft, one for medium aircraft, one for large aircraft. So that's not realistic setup, but it will be a good way to keep the traffic under control and divide it up, and it will also give us a better way to manage where we park and run the aircraft through the taxiways. So we're going to start off small because we're a business. We obviously need to make money. We don't want to be borrowing because interest is a real killer in business. So where possible, we want to start making money as soon as we can. So we're going to go with small aircraft. We're going to run a small airfield. I know from previous gameplay that we get money when aircraft land and we get money when aircraft park. So we're going to want to get general aviation, which is light aircraft, coming into and out of our airport. So we're going to rotate this and put it right over here to save as much space as we can and give us an airfield where planes can land. The next thing we need to do is to run taxiways. Now, if you look at the taxiways, there are 3 here. We get grass. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, it's cheap. Oops. You get grass, and if you look at grass, it's $100 per tile, and maintenance cost is $5. Concrete is $200, same maintenance cost. Bitumen is $200, same maintenance cost. So all 3 of them are $5, but the bitumen and the concrete are $200 each. Now, unless there's a difference in the rate of wear between concrete and asphalt, I can't see any difference in holding them or using them. But grass, certainly, because it's much cheaper to build to start with. And if I just click on this and show you how big a tile is, if you can imagine that we have to build a taxiway from up one end to the other, then you can see how much money we can possibly save by doing the grass, because that's going to be a lot cheaper than the other 2 options. So let's get going and build the taxiway. We'll start down here, and from previous experience I know that 3 is a good size for a taxiway, 3 wide. So we're just going to come out 3, top and bottom. Now initially, all I want to do is provide the taxiway that will allow aircraft to get onto the runway to take off and get off the runway to park. Now my plan, just looking at this, is to have the aircraft stands down here. That will give us the best use of space. If we put them up here, we're going to limit ourselves, and we're going to have to do funny things with buildings. I mean, I'm envisaging that as the airport grows, the number of people that use it grow, the security services required grow, we're going to have to expand, and every person that comes to the airport is going to be in and out of this road. So basically we're saying that we want our buildings all the way around here and our airfields like that or like that, so that the buildings can operate and grow the best way possible, basically. So let's run the connection here. So it's 3 wide all the way down here. And if you look in the center there, you'll see that center of the green, you'll see that it gives you the size in tiles that you're actually planting, and the cost, as you can see down the bottom. So that actually is our taxiways. Now we need to place our aircraft stands. Now, if you look at the aircraft stand here, of course there's small and medium aircraft. And you can see, if you look at the map, that when you mouse over the objects, you get a representation of them on there. But we're going to go with grass again. Here you'll see, if you look on the grass aircraft stand note on the left, you've got $20,000, operating cost of 100. Then it goes to 50,000 and 100. So maintenance cost is the same, but the price of actual purchase goes up. So, you know, we want to keep this as best we can, because we have got a budget. We've got 500,000. We've got to build an airport and start making money with that. Still don't want to borrow money. Now, let's just zoom in here for a minute and have a look at this, because this is what we've got. The red at the top of the green area, which is the holding stand, that red indicates where the aircraft enters and leaves this parking lot, if you like. The bottom section, where you see a pedestrian crossing, that's actually a road. So we've got a choice here. We can butt these up against each other, but that means we need 2 access taxiways if we put the roadway in the middle. But if we put the road on the outside and butt the aircraft up against the taxiway, then we only need 1 taxiway. So just quickly, let's have a look back here at taxiway again. Taxiway here, $100 a section. So let's just put that aside for a second and go and have a look at service road. Service road grass is $10 a section. Sorry, $50 a section, and the operating cost is 10. So obviously half price to build a grass service road, and twice the operating cost. Now I can't tell actually whether that operating cost is a day, a week, or a month, but I think, seeing that the game up here, up the top, records days, day 1 in the year, it's safe to assume it's a day. So the operating cost for a road is twice the operating cost for a grass taxiway. I wonder what the actual size is. Let's have a look at this for a second. So that's 1 block, if you like, and a block is 4 by 4. So a service road is 1 block of 4 by 4. That costs 63. But the operating cost is $10. So that costs 63. That cost 100. the operating cost, 4x4 is 16. The operating cost, if that's a road, it's going to be 160 a day. And if it's a taxiway, it's going to be $80 a day. It's not going to take much to make up for the $100 versus the 50. You know what? It's actually going to be cheaper to have a single road and multiple taxiways than it is to have a single taxiway and multiple roads. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a single road. So when we build our aircraft stands, we need to build them in such a way so that we have a multiple taxiway and a single road. And that means we need to put the road in the middle. Come out 3. Okay, so let's think about this for a minute. So we can run the aircraft stands side by side and across from each other with the road running through the middle. Although, having said that, the road is now included in the taxi stand. So we're going to go with the single anyway. So, come down one just in case, because I'm not quite sure how the aircraft are going to deal if they can't turn at least one tile in. So I'll put 2 of these there. Actually, we'll put 4. Then we'll build the taxiway. Grass. So we go from there all the way. Actually, we only need to go to there. So that's 3. Join these up. Oh, actually, that's 3. Yeah. Cool. 3. 3. 3. Okay. Now, we need to put the taxiway node in. So this basically defines where aircraft are allowed to move on a taxiway. We go and put these across, which brings them either into or out of the middle of the runway. We join up the stands, the aircraft stands, and we run all the way up this taxiway and then out here. Now obviously for us there's no cost involved in this, because basically we're just defining the direction that the aircraft can move in. We're not actually building anything. Now here we're going to right click. We're going to set this as a holding point. So if aircraft are going onto or coming off the runway, if there's already aircraft inbound or outbound on the runway, they'll go to the holding point, or they'll stop at the holding point rather, without going onto the runway and causing an accident. The other point is that if we don't put that holding point in, the aircraft can't move from their stands until everything in their way has gone through. But it does allow them then to go to the holding point and queue up as a stopping point if aircraft are still on the runway. So that's what we want to build to start off with. We've got a runway, we've got a taxiway, we've got a small stand. And now of course we are going to need air traffic control, because you've got to have air traffic control, otherwise planes crash. So here's our air traffic control tower. Now our roads run down the bottom of the small stands, and the white lines that you see on this are actually parking. So I'm going to put it right there, because I don't think in this game aircraft need clearance height to get through buildings. So in the case of the air traffic control tower, even though it's at the end of the taxiway, it's not on the runway, but even then I don't think it would affect clearance. And I don't even think we need to define a road at this stage of the game. So for $15,000 we're going to add an air traffic control tower, a small one, and then we're going to go over here, go to construction. No, we're not. We're going to go to contracts first, because we don't have a contractor, so we might as well go straight to contracts here. And ooh, look at that. I'd say that's a glitch. Same company 5 times. So here's the bet that we'll select this guy. Now we can have up to 58 contractors at $8.90 an hour. So we'll sign our life away on that one, because that's the only option we have. And then we'll go down to construction, and under contractors we'll get to pick how many contractors we want. We had 58. We have 321 objects to build. Now, that can't be individual tiles. That's got to be those blocks of 16 tiles adding up to that. We don't have any deployed contractors. We've got 58 we can use. So let's go with, always going blocks of 10, right? Hold control. 10, 20. Let's go with 28. And we'll let's call them up. And we should get 28 contractors working for us. But nothing will happen, of course, until we turn the game on. So let's go normal speed. We turn the game on and we watch, and we'll see what happens. So at this point, having designed all these things that need to be built, we should get trucks turning up with goods or material for building our airport. There's nothing there at the moment, and we should get contractors who turn up there. And we should have 28 contractors. So let's see what happens here. So the yellow guy arrives. Here's the bus for the contractors. And then that, I'm assuming, is the truck with the material that we need. So all the contractors are piling out of the bus. We'll go down a bit lower and have a look at that. And the trucks are unloading the goods. The contractors are picking up the goods, and they're wandering over there. So we have deployed contractors 28. We have 30 left. We have no handyman. And we still have 321 objects to construct. So if we slide over here, actually we'll close that because we don't need to see them anymore. We go over here. They've come along and they've started to build. Now, obviously, they're building it in grass, and the area that they're building on is grass. So it's not going to be that easy to differentiate, but you can see these identifiers here. They'll mark the edge of the taxiway. So we have to wait until we've built everything, including the runway, because what we've actually got here is the minimum required to run an airport. So we're going on the basis is that we get money when planes land. I think we get money when they take off as well. Then we get money when they hang around overnight. Now, as you can see down here, our first aircraft stand has been built, and the red button obviously means it's not in operation. But that's okay, because we're not even open the airport yet, so we've still got a ways to go with that. So we'll just speed this up, I think. We'll go double speed, and we'll just watch a bit of construction as it takes. Whoa, that was the wrong button to press. Thank you. So obviously I should tell you about this while we're waiting. This is W key, this is S key, this is the Q key, which flips the view that you have. Q again, Q again, Q again. And the E, of course, takes it the other way. So there you go. So if you go E and you want to get back, you go Q, and if you go Q and you want to go back, you go E. So what's going to happen is we're going to have a runway, and we still don't know which direction the aircraft are going to land and take off from. And I also don't know whether during the game that will switch at all, or between games, whether it's variable. I don't know. And I don't know what happens to the flight path if you put the runways at right angles and try to use both of them at the same time. I don't know what effect that has on the traffic control. But what they will do is when the aircraft come in, they'll go to the parking stands. And as you can see at the bottom of these parking stands where the pedestrian crossings are, that's actually a road. Now, if we wanted to, we could put a walkway underneath that so that people could walk there. But in previous games I played, I didn't find any use for a walkway. I mean, it could be good aesthetically to have a walkway there and then have people go somewhere, but I've never seen people walking to and from general aviation aircraft, which are what the small aircraft are called. So just on that note, I mean, there's general aviation, which is light aircraft, i.e. your Piper Cherokees and your four-seaters and things like that. And then you have commercial aircraft, which are actually the brain drain, commercial aircraft, which of course are run by your airlines, and that's where the part of the fun of the game comes in, when you start scheduling your commercial aircraft. Your general aviation is unscheduled. It comes and goes as it likes or as it's available, determined by the game. But your commercial aircraft come and go because they have contracts with your airport about how they do this. Now, we've been in 30 minutes in this game. We're still building, so I think what I'm going to do is I'll cut this video here, and we'll come back when the build has completed, and we'll start episode 2. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you found it fun. And I'll see you in episode 2 of Airport CEO Alpha. Bye for now.